Aloha. My name's Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Co podcast, the topic is social media influencers, and my special guest is Toby Tamaye. He's built a reputation as a leader in public relations, specifically focused on Asian markets, including Japan, Korea, and China. And now, in recent years, he's become a bit of a social media influencer himself, specifically focused on the Hawaii food scene, and helped countless clients get their feet wet in this evolving social space. I've known Toby for over a decade. We first shared a client, Go Airlines, back in, was it 2013, I think, somewhere around there. Thanks for being here today, Toby.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
So to get the party started, tell us, how did you first get your start in PR?
Well, I graduated from the University of Hawaii at the business school, did marketing management. So obviously the track would be into marketing and PR. Did a little stint at a bank for a while, worked at a yo-yo and a company back in the days, and really got my feet wet with the Japan market. And then I've been in agency business ever since that, helping local businesses here in Hawaii.
And how do you think that the industry has evolved since you first started?
You know, when we first were getting involved, it was just the three pillars. It was TV, radio, and print. And, you know, it was pretty simple. You create a good TV commercial, you create some good, you know, things on radio, you would reach the markets. And then, you know, we've seen this digital age really expand from not only the power of websites, but now what we're really getting involved with social media and how that really wraps around it through using that traditional media. And how do you use these new media these days? It's been quite challenging for most businesses, as you know.
Yeah, and then on that note, so let's talk a little bit specifically about social media and this concept of the role of influencer. Tell us more, you know, how do you think this plays a part in today's customer journey?
So, you know, I've been doing this back for a long time, back when even Instagram wasn't a thing. It was on Twitter, and we did these things called tweet ups, where we would meet, a lot of Twitter people would meet up and they would, you know, do posting. And then Facebook really became powerful. And then so we were integrating Facebook and Twitter, and then obviously Twitter fell off a cliff when Instagram came in. And so it's been an interesting journey, because before it was based on like the amount of followers you had was your reach, but now it's like there's so much virality in this industry now. And so you could have like 10 followers and have 1 million people see your reel or your video. And so it's pretty dynamic how it has changed. Literally over the last couple of years, the game changer was when Instagram started Reels and TikTok got involved. And so when that happened, and then now Instagram allowed collaborations in the fall of 2023, and that was what really kind of elevated the influencer power, because now we could actually help businesses gain more followers, you know, increase their businesses, and then, you know, really create content for them through our own social channels. And so that's really the big changes that happen. And literally, this is just the last couple of years. Most of the people that we're seeing now in the influencer space have been doing this for like a couple of years. It's not like me, where we've been doing it for a decade since Twitter. They've really got involved. And, you know, it's just, if you have the right market, the right following, you become an influencer. And so that's basically how things are. We're seeing a lot of stories come out from people that started when they're 14 years old and becoming an influencer, or people that are 40 and now trying to become an influencer. And so it's very interesting for everybody in terms of like how you gain followers, how do you gain traction, and, you know, what is your audience really interested in seeing? But that's really the evolvement that's happened on social media. Literally the last couple of years, Instagram has been the game changer though for Hawaii specifically.
Yeah, let me ask you. So we brought up a couple, I think, really interesting topics. One is that you can, because of virality, you don't have to have a lot of followers in order to have a great reach, right? But the second part is, you know, finding the right influencer. And that usually one of the metrics we're using is how many followers do they have? But
Right.
My question for you is now, with how many, you know, companies are selling likes and followers, how do you determine a true influencer's value?
It's super easy. It's just the great thing about Instagram is that you can see two key metrics that is available to the public. Some do it, some hide their likes, but most don't. So you can kind of see the engagement. So if someone has like 15,000 followers, but they have 14 likes on a post, that's a problem. The other issue that we also can see is we can see the number of reels and the number of views they have on their reels, which is a public thing. So now we can actually see someone who has, 6,000 followers, but are averaging 50,000 people, which is not very often. But we can see that. And then we can see people who have 80,000 followers, but are averaging less than 5,000 views on a reel. That's a problem. And so we're able to look at these three metrics now: the amount of followers, the amount of things they have on their reels, and as well as their likes and engagement. Engagement to an extent, but most of it is based on those three metrics that we can see. But yeah, so you have to do your research. And the other thing that people don't understand is that everybody has different demographics. A teenager reaches this demo. I reach a Gen X and a millennial demo. And not someone in their 21 cannot say I reach Gen X demos, right? And so you have to be able to really determine the influencer, who their following is, their type of following is, and then that way you can kind of really figure out, is this the right influencer that I want to work with? And there's just a lot of them out there. There's a lot of food, but there's a lot of retail. There's a lot of content creators now out there. There's just a lot of variety here in Hawaii specifically that we're looking at. And this is not only a Hawaii thing. I mean, we're always welcoming influencers from the mainland, from Japan, or from Korea. And so we're working with those people as well. So it's pretty dynamic in what's happening. But yeah, those three cores that we look for is definitely the amount of followers makes a big difference, because that's what happens with stories. Stories is limited to the follower count. It's not really viral. And so we also want to get into the stories, and that really is based on the amount of followers they have. And then the other thing would be basically, how their engagement is, and then the number of reels and how often they post is also important. Like someone posts like once a month. No, you got to post daily or at least a couple times a week, because you could do a reel and get, 50,000 views, but you only post once a month. That doesn't tell us that you're really effective in what you're doing. You're just saying you just had something going on for a long time. And you can see right now, it's reels now as the viral. It's not posts. It's not posts anymore. It's not pictures. It has to be video.
Right.
And that's the key thing that we can. So that's what we're looking for when we're looking. We're looking for video engagements and video views and the amount of people following them.
And how do you quantify, for those who are interested in pursuing, this type of new form of communication, right? How do you pay influencers?
So here's the thing that a lot of people don't know here in Hawaii is that it is an unpaid industry. And so we do know a few people, but basically most of the people are not being paid. They're just doing it as a service in terms of mostly like trade.
Mm-hmm.
There is an issue when you do, you pay someone over $600, with all the taxes and everything.
Sure.
So there's issues with that, and a lot of people don't want to get involved with that kind of stuff, unless you're like a 200,000 and you're good,
like the Nike ones,
or you're a brand ambassador, so you're constantly promoting the business. You're part of the business. You got to guarantee a reel every month. If you're an ambassador, then yeah, maybe there is some payment, but most of the time it's one-offs, especially in the industry, where we're just coming in and we're just getting a meal in exchange for our services. Which a lot of people don't also understand is that, you're coming in for a meal and you guys eat all this and drink all this. But no, we go home and we take another hour, 2 hours to create our content, to post it on Yelp, to post it on TikTok, to post it on Instagram, to post it on Facebook, to post it on Threads.
Right.
And then we recurate things because stories and reels are different. Like reels are typically 45 seconds is the average, but stories can only be 15. And so there's a lot of repurposing of content that we have that people really don't really understand what we're trying to do as an influencer to accomplish after we're done. And don't talk to me about how our storage is getting destroyed on our phone because we're holding your 40 videos in our phone.
Right.
So
let me ask you, so, everyone now is talking you can't even go a day without hearing AI, right?
yeah.
How do you notice any AI tools that could help maybe create some of this content faster?
So I'm not typically using it, but most of the influencers in Hawaii use this program called CapCut. CapCut is owned by TikTok, and it's pretty much the best video editing source out there. I mean, really much most of the influencers know to use CapCut. CapCut does have an AI tool that came out earlier this year. I haven't really played with it. It's hard because when you create content, you want to create it as authentic as you are. And there is ways that you can create it with AI, but the AI also has like a little discrepancy where I'll say like, no, this was developed by AI. And then kind of throw off your
Right.
because they're trying to really they're following you because of you, right? If not, they would not follow you, or they would just not really engage with with what you're trying to say. And so I think right now it's not a big thing, but it is curated into our platforms now, in terms of like using AI, especially through our editing systems that we can do with texting and the way that we write and the way that we actually develop the content and create it. There is a system now in place inside of these inside of these video things. So,
That's interesting.
but I haven't really played with it. It is out there, and they're trying to push it to us all the time.
Yeah, I know that Instagram or TikTok came out with a new AI, but some of my concerns right away are always, well, if is it all going to look the same, right? If you're using AI, right, then all of a sudden your content looks like everyone else's content, or is that content, do you have the license to use that content, or like, because we see at TikTok the music is license free, but what about other elements of design, right? And you still, like, as you know, and I know, you still have to create your own content. It's just you're putting it into this AI to maybe format it for you, So you're still having to do let's talk about that authenticity, the concept of that, because I think now what's really compelling is how different Gen Z is behaving, right? They're the first generation to really grow up with social media, and they have a lot of different expectations. Talk to us about what you think those are.
You're right. Authenticity is so key with them. It's being relatable. Everybody is different. There's cat people, there's dog people. There's meat lovers, there's people, there's vegetarians, and so there's a market. You just got to figure out what your market is, and how do you deliver information to your market. Maybe your market, especially like for me, my videos tend to be a little bit longer because I'm trying to explain things because my demographic, the Gen Xers and the millennials want to know as much as they can. But the younger generation is like boom, 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 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And so, I don't know how much I appeal to that, but that's not my demographic. My demographic 30 to 65. And so that's where I'm trying to be good at. And so I think what people are trying to look at is like just understand your audience and how you be authentic to that audience and just deliver that information to them. But definitely for the younger generation, it is difficult. It's very fast. It's very moving. It's very trendy. So you have to stay on trends. Music relations too as well on trends. And so there's a lot of things like especially like in our video editing software that are following trends. And so those things a lot of people you could see using it on Instagram and TikTok. Again, I don't know how much people actually use the Instagram and TikTok editing feature. Most of the big influencers do not use those two features. They actually use CapCut or something else as a third-party software because there's just much more flexibility to that. So we do know about those kind of things happening, but it's very challenging. I can't say it because I don't know how to reach the market.
Yeah, I haven't used them either, but I was asked to comment recently from my book about the new tool. And so, and what we know now is, and what I'm telling clients is, hey, AI is in the adoption curve, right? There are just even like last month, 350 new registered AI companies, right? And so, you're going to be constantly bombarded with things to try, and that can diffuse your focus, right?
Right.
With so many AI unknowns, just like when social media first started out, what we remember, right, is that it has changed several times since that. And it was essentially free before, and now everything's pay to play, really. I mean, that's kind of what influencers, right?
So, yeah,
right. To an extent, exactly. But without, but there's always something you have to invest in, whether that is an influencer or an event or something. It's not like just, you build it and they will come. Like, no, you have to make yourself attractive to that algorithm.
That is what has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. Is you got to start looking at work with influencers somehow. You just cannot do this thing on your own. You can't even do it through advertising anymore. You have to figure out a way to reach other people's audiences to be able to grow your business.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of, depending on what type of business you're in too, I mean, for retail, we've always seen a really easy way to track conversion, right? The credit card swiped. Oh, we know there was a success. We may not factor in cancellations or refunds, but overall, it's pretty clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with other types of businesses where forms being completed or, those we see that the ROI is really not there with a lot of social tools, right? So what metrics matter to you when you evaluate success from your campaigns and your clients?
Number one is views. We look for, we want big numbers. And so when we are going to like a restaurant or something, we want big numbers. And that's why a lot of times people think, I'm just going to bring in one influencer. That's not enough. You need to bring in like 15, you need to bring in 20 to get the numbers that you want. It's really funny. Like when we started this conversation with you today, we talked about like radio and TV, and you look at their media kits now, and you look at their numbers, and it's like, oh, we reached 30,000 people. I'm like, that's just one influencer, and I don't have to pay for that. And I can get 6 influencers, I can do 500,000 views. And it's like. And the other thing about social media is that it's shareable. It's savable. They can share it. They can save it. You can't do that with radio and TV and other ads. And so it's pretty amazing, like how powerful it is now. And so, yeah, the number one thing we look for is the amount of views. I mean, we just want those big numbers. We do look at likes and engagements to see kind of like what's going on over there. But yeah, those are just the major metrics that we look at. We try to find out like how many shares is like the big thing, really. So when you are a business and you're working with influencers and you get an influencer with 500 shares on that post, like something is working. No one's going to share anything to somebody or maybe on their stories or their feed just because they pressed the airplane accidentally. No, they have an intention to share that information. And so to me, like what I'm looking at it, and the only way you can look at it is you have to actually own the account. It's not a public thing, but you can actually see the amount of shares. And so that's why when the collaborations happen, it's key because you can see insights, you can see how many non-followers from both of your accounts are looking at your thing, how many impressions you're actually going to get from this. And number 3 is you can look at the amount of shares. And that is really what determines like, wow, if I see things 1,000 shares and like, oh, guarantee you got business from that, guarantee.
And so you said get business. Is there any kind of feedback loop that you have for like your restaurants, for instance, to identify that new traffic is coming from this effort?
Yeah. So a lot of the restaurants right now, what they're doing is they're asking, how did you hear about us? And they'll say like, oh, I heard it from Toby Pics, I heard it from Kelly Shiroma, I heard it from Instagram. Or they'll order the same thing, or a lot of times like the smaller areas, like the sushi bar specifically, like the omakases that are happening, they will like, say, oh, how do you find out about us? And those more intimate ones, they will say almost not all the time, but a lot of time, I saw it on social media. Nice. And so we know it happens, and we know that when we come in, and we like for me, I know I'll put something up. They'll get business. Not the crazy thing is that they'll get business like within the hour.
Wow.
Literally within the hour. Like I put up something on a pizza place this morning. They're gonna get like 4 or 5 orders today, maybe even more. Guaranteed.
Amazing.
Yeah, guarantee. It's just like
I love when I see your food stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, I should go try that. But then sometimes never leave my battle station up here. But yeah, no, I think that's very exciting. So in addition to food, what other kind of industries do you think are you really like, specialize in terms of?
So hotel is huge. Retail is huge. Anything on B2C is great.
So, but they need like a location, like a storefront kind of, or is it also like virtual?
Oh, there's so much coming in, like they just be like, I have a knife shop here. I want to send you some knives. Put it real. I have this. No, it's totally not limited to storefront, 100%, because we can use links through our stories specifically. So stories is great for that because you can put a direct link that goes directly to the page to buy stuff and stuff. So stories is really effective for sales. I do spa. I see a lot of like the spa industry is like up now in terms of social media and influencers, and that's because they don't know how to reach people. It's so hard to reach people on TV and radio and print. But you put a social media influencer there. And I've heard some big stories from some other like Korean spas that are in like Ella Beach, and they say, "Oh, we don't even have reservations anymore. We're just sold out." But all we're doing is
Wow.
bringing media influencers every week and just doing it that way. And then once they build the clientele, obviously they'll be great. And so, especially when you first open, oh man, you gotta get in social media influencer. It should be part of your strategy. Aside from
That's really good advice.
it should be like that should be your strategy. Your strategy should be like, okay, what I'm going to do with the influencer market? Do I bring them in before? A lot of times a lot of people are confused with the influencer market. They want us to be like, oh, we're gonna be, we'll bring you guys in a month after we open, and it's like, no, because we're not going to be generating interest anymore. We want to be there when you first open. We're not there to, we're not Yelpers. We're not going to critique your business, and all that kind of stuff. We're there to just, and there's a trade of services. So of course, there's some type of relationship between what we're going to say, what we're going to do, and how we're going to talk about the business. So a lot of them need to understand that we want to go in first, because for us, it's a numbers game. If I put a post up on something that opens up within the week, I'll get triple the engagement from 2 weeks from now. And so, because by then it's like, it's old news.
It's old news, right? Yeah. And then especially I know you're marketing to a little bit of an older audience, but probably for those trying to get Gen Z, it's even more important to
get more important
because then they want to be the first ones there.
Everybody knows Hawaii. Hawaii is like that. The first 3 months, booming, everybody's there, and then it's like just drops off. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you get the big boom, and to get the big boom, you get the influencers in there, and then that's the way you get, because you want to start off as big as you can, and then keep that momentum going after the first couple months, because that's how Hawaii is. You're brand new, everybody's gonna be there. But of course, that doesn't happen to everybody. That's not like a guarantee. You open a business and you'll see lines coming out the door. I've seen some businesses a lot of times that they're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We're maybe we did.
I guess that brings me to kind of like one of the questions I like to ask everyone. Where do you see if businesses want to get involved, what are some of the risks or challenges entering this new space?
It's very complicated. As someone that develops events, and I do, probably I attend one almost every day. So lunch or dinner is always going to be an event, or when we're talking about events, it's like 6 to 12 people could be. Sometimes less, but they're all food influencers. So I really don't even hang out with other people anymore. I just hang out with and content creators now. That's really my friend circle now.
Cool.
That's all. It's about like maximizing our time. We need content every day, right? But it's really easy, because right now you can just follow them on Instagram. Once they follow you back, you can start having conversations with this person, telling them, hey, I want to invite you. Be clear about what you're trying to do too. I like to host you for a massage, and in turn, I would like to see I would like a reel on your page. Just be frank and honest with them, and that's it. And then sometimes they'll come back, and like really rare, they're gonna say, "Oh, but I cost $100 to do the post." That's super rare. It's gonna be most of the time like, okay, great, let's make a schedule, let's figure this out, and they coming in. The other thing that we try to do is you try to curate the right amount of influencers that can come in. So if you find people like myself that do this, we you don't have to do anything. We just set dates. Like that's what we do. Here's the date, and then we fill it in, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. All you gotta do is have your best manager and your best staff there to service the people. Understand that there's gonna be lights everywhere. There's gonna be people standing up all the time. But understand that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can do that. A lot of people have email on there for collaborations on their things, so you can directly email them. I wouldn't call or text, and that's usually a more closer step. But yeah, you can message on Instagram. Messaging on TikTok is there, but a lot of people don't check messages on TikTok, so I don't advise it. If you want to reach out on Facebook, it's okay to an extent. For 35 and older, they're probably looking at their Facebook Messenger more than they're looking at their Instagram message. And so, but it's just a direct reach out. It doesn't hurt, but then it gets complicated because you got to schedule them, and then you got to make sure your staff is ready, and then you got to look at the deliverables, and you got to accept the collab. Accepting the collab is key, because some people accept the collaborations like 2 days after. Like, dude, you just lost like 40% of my impact, man. You got to accept the collab right when it comes out. And so that's the biggest challenge that that I see is like that whole process of inviting the person, hosting that person, getting that person see the post, collaborating with that person, that's a process, right?
Yeah.
And imagine doing this like for 12, 15 people every month. It's a big process. And so, but it works. That's the main thing we do. It works. It reaches the younger demo. It helps you grow your amount of followers. It helps you get more business. It's I don't even want to say it's guaranteed, but most of the time it is, because we know our followers are interested in our content, and they're going to either share. If they just share our content, it's a win already. You're not going to go share our content. It's a win.
And the most important thing is the food's got to be good, right?
Yeah, to an extent.
If the food's good, then people come back.
I think most of the businesses in Hawaii are doing a fabulous job with their food and dining experience. And so to me, I don't really have an issue with that in terms of that. It's just finding the right audience, the right demographic, the right market, where you're struggling with in terms of like getting engagement and where you see the most engagements. Like I live in town. I do a lot of Waikiki stuff, but my biggest things are when I go Ella Beach or Kapolei. So today I'm like Kaneohe. We'll see how that does. But yeah, it's weird. It's like I see my demographic as that single, that family that lives in Waipio or something. And they're like hungry. Like every other week they eat out or something, and so they're just looking for that. So it's kind of interesting to see how things work, and how how it all plays out for us. But yeah, it's not easy. I can tell you that. And
the tip here is to work with a professional.
Well, no, you can
it's the biggest bang for your buck. I mean, you don't have to, but people are busy, and we will know even creating content for just organic social can be a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
And so if this is part of your social strategy, then pick someone like yourself who already has the connections, already can verify the results, so that you feel more trust and you can focus on what you're good at, which is providing this best dining experience.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, there's a handful of people, because this is a brand new space,
right?
In terms of the influencer market, and they're changing. There's new ones coming in all the time, and so and for us, we try to other thing for the business owner that I want to convey is that you got to be on Instagram all the time. So if you're not on Instagram, you don't even know what these guys are posting, how they do their stuff. So you don't even know how to service them correctly when they're in the restaurant. Because some people are like, I want to go in the back kitchen. I want to do this. Oh, I want the server to put it down on the table. You got to know all these little quirks to make it work best for the influencer. If you don't know all that, it's like, because everybody has their different styles,
Right.
People love the egg yolk break. I don't put that in my stuff. That's something that everybody likes this. I love the noodle action shots. I love that.
Noodle action.
But it's like, well, you got to kind of figure, but some people don't even do that. They're just like, bam, 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 this is what's going on. Or they don't even talk about the description of the food. They're just like, this is the restaurant. This is your experience you're going to have. Right. And so, and then here's the cookers, and, they focus on that part. And so that's the other part that is hard for the restaurant or the retail owners. You actually got to understand like how they're building their content, because if you understand how they're building their content, you can provide better things to them when they're in their experience to help you promote your business. And that's a big challenge for everybody, because no one has 24 hours a day to be on Instagram. So that's the biggest challenge. Another one is kind of knowing the influencer and how to really work with them properly.
Yeah. Well, that is very compelling. Thank you so much for being a guest today, Covert Code. To learn more about At Marketing, you can visit at-marketing.com. And to connect with Toby, you can find him on LinkedIn. We'll contain links to his website and profile in the full posting of this episode. Next week,
just to be clear, it's at-marketing.net.
.net. Thank you for that. Thanks for being here today, and we'll see you next week on the Covert Code for another fascinating topic and influential guest.